Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And I have what I think is going to be a really fun episode today, a little change of pace. We're going to talk about memes and marketing. And I have the one and only meme lord with us today, Drew B. Wilson. Welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
Woo, man, I am excited to be here and share a little bit of information about memes. As you said, I am the meme lord. If you guys aren't watching this on there, I've tattooed meme lord across my knuckles because I'm all the way in, and I believe that this could be the tactic that does change the game for you. So excited to share a little bit with y'all.
Yeah, I've never seen, as he mentioned, if you're listening, I would at least check out the intro to this episode on YouTube. He does have Meme Lord tattooed on his knuckles. I've never seen more commitment to memes in my life. So I have already stamped the approval on the Meme Lord. Drewby, it's an interesting conversation. It sounds like a fun conversation, but you mentioned before we start recording, there's actual science behind this and we can nerd out a little bit, which I think is absolutely fascinating. But my first question is, memes have only been around for maybe a decade or so. Are you worried that your tattoo is going to go out of style? What if we have holograms and we evolve past memes? What do you do then?
Well, this is a great way to challenge you right off the rip, my friend, because memes have actually existed since the late 70s, early 80s.
Look at that. I'm already stupid on my own podcast. This is fascinating.
Now, y'all, you're going to love this. This is why I nerd out on it, because memes, it actually comes from the term mimetic transfer, which is in the book The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. So he's a scientist that was studying biology and Darwinism, and essentially mimetic transfer is a change of a transfer of ideas between societies. So for the example, the science example is like, hey, if you have a group of monkeys on one side of the island and they exist, and there's another group of monkeys on the opposite side of the island, but the island monkey group B, they happen to use rocks to crack open the coconuts. And so those monkeys tend to eat and be healthier. Well, one day a monkey happens across the island and sees this group of monkeys using a rock, and they go, well, that's fucking genius. I'm going to go back and tell my other monkey friends to use a rock to crack the coconuts. That's mimetic transfer. It's the transfer of information from one society to another. It's like when we're kids. We grow up, we see people sneeze, someone says Gesundheit, we go, oh, okay, that's the thing that we do when someone sneezes. So now we go around and say Gesundheit. We don't know what that means. It's just the thing that we do because someone else did it. The transfer of information from one society or person to another. Now, if we forward several decades to 2024, 2010, the internet era, if you will, the idea of a meme has actually changed to being more of like a screenshot or a short video from a scene of a movie or a situation that we recognize publicly. And then it's overlaid with a new idea or context to add a new layer of funniness or, like I said, contextual idea behind the image so that we can change the message that's being transferred between individuals, cultures, or societies.
Interesting. I was not aware of that. It's a great example with the monkeys, by the way, because it's very clear, what that means and kind of how it evolved. I'm curious though, because memes are so widespread now. And even when you're texting people, you can have a full conversation with memes and not ever send a single line of text, and it's fully understood by both parties. How did we get to this taking over the marketing scene? Or actually, let me start with that question. Do you think memes have taken over the marketing scene, or is that your mission?
I think they're a small piece of the puzzle. I think you can overuse memes. I think you can use memes in the wrong way and send the wrong message. And I always joke, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, could a meme be worth $1 million? It can, for sure. I know for an absolute fact it can. Memes can win presidential elections. Memes can shift the entire feeling or emotional support for an individual or an artist. I mean, we've seen where, remember when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? The entire internet absolutely exploded. And there was people from domestic violence groups and abuse groups and hate crime, and all of these different societies came together based around one meme. There's the different memes of Donald Trump serving fries at the McDonald's recently. That meme took over. How much do you think McDonald's made in profit from the marketing aspect of Donald Trump serving fries out of their window and millions of people sharing a meme about it? There's actual money that can be attributed to the fact that these memes are getting people's attention, getting them to do something, to take an action. And when being done correctly by smart business owners and entrepreneurs, they're able to guide the public sentiment into doing something, taking an action, making a purchase, supporting a cause, all around a picture with some words on it.
Yeah, it kind of blows your mind when you think about it. When you boil it down to the overly simple of a picture with words on it, being responsible for millions, and in McDonald's case, probably hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, that's a big deal. But you mentioned before we started recording, there's scientific fact and statistics behind this. I have to know why this is. Why can McDonald's make tens and hundreds of millions of dollars from memes, and what do we need to understand as small business owners?
So I think this is where the fun part about marketing and sales really comes together for me personally, and where I think the listener can really use this to their advantage. Because if we know the entire process of sales is getting someone to know us, to like us, and to trust us enough to give their hard-earned money in exchange for a product, service, experience, well, then we know that they're essentially trying to do one of two things in that decision. They're either trying to get out of the pain that they are in, that they're currently facing, that's keeping them up at night, that's making them not sleep well, that's making their lives miserable. They're trying to get out of that. Or they're currently in kind of a gray area where they're like, well, it's not bad, but it's not great either. And they're trying to get into a position of pleasure. That's literally the only reason people do anything. They want out of pain or they want into pleasure. And if we know that, and we know that it's an emotional feeling that they're going through, and we can now tap into those emotions because we understand our client avatar is a man between the ages of 25 and 45 who's really into guns, Trump, and his country. Well, then if we're putting a specific type of product in front of that individual, we know the likelihood of them buying is higher. And if we want to speak to those sort of elicited emotions, well, then stands to reason if we make silly memes or we share memes that talk to the sentiment and the emotional relationship between people that they recognize, man, that's a God's guns in our country, well, then they're probably going to want to support it. Just in the same way, if we were to create an opposite style meme where we're like, we need to control and not give people so much and everybody deserves freedom, there's a cultural side of society that's going to buy into that too. So from a marketing standpoint, if we know who we're trying to get the attention of, and we have a product or service that we know can help them, then using those memes that tap into those emotional connections, because, hey, it just so happens this cultural society of people all really resonates with this movie or this specific situation that just happened in the news cycle. Well, if we talk about it, if we share those things, it's going to get their attention. And if we've overlaid a context that connects that emotion and situation to our product, service, or deliverable, good chance they might want to reach out to us and continue that conversation.
I can't help but think of, there was this company that I had worked with, I think last year, about a year or so ago, and they use memes all the time in their newsletters. The interesting piece though was there was no theme. Like either they didn't understand fully who their customer was, or they just thought memes were funny in general. So how do you kind of balance that, right? Like the exploring new memes that may be funny, may help elicit those emotions, and just going too far with memes.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I've definitely had people that have gone through some of our training programs that we cater to memes. Is like closer memes is how we teach people this process. And one of the first things I say is don't overdo it. Too much of anything is no longer a good thing. It becomes like an overwhelming it's just too much. And so where I think you have to understand is it does come back to the basic marketing premise of whose attention are we trying to get? Why are we trying to get their attention? What specifically are we trying to get them to do once we have their attention? And what's going to happen if they do that thing? Because that is like the ultimate foundation of marketing, is get attention, get them to do the thing, and then get a result, which is typically making money or providing a service or whatever. So the same thing needs to occur with a meme. If you're going to share a meme, what is the intention? What is the message that you're trying to get across? What is the next step for them to take if they do have an emotional connection to it? Because if you're not creating a clear path, like you said, you're causing confusion. You're basically making it to where they don't know what to do next. And so you have all of this potential that ends up getting wasted because attention spans are short. And while you might have that quick 8 seconds from sharing a meme, if it's not directing them in the path that you want, you're ultimately just creating another roadblock for yourself. You're creating an open loop, and people, they don't really like open loops. They want to know how the series ends. That's why they keep coming back. So it's important to give them that opportunity to understand what the next step is once you've got their attention with the meme.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can't help but think about I guess another side of this conversation too is some memes are just so overused that you can't really attribute it to any one person or company, right? It's recycled over and over, whether it's a video, like you said, an 8-second video, or it's an actual picture. How do you, as a brand, balance the trendy versus the original?
Well, I love that question. And for me, I think it's a balance of both, because if you watch, all trends come in cycles. For a long time when we were kids, it was Jinko jeans. How wide can you get the bottom of your jeans? And that was like in the 90s. But before that, people thought that's stupid. No one wears big jeans. It was all skinny jeans and like breakaway pants in the 80s, the all that. But if you went before that, it was bell bottoms, but they weren't. It was different. Bell bottoms aren't Jinkos. That's a different kind. If you asked, they're going to say it's two totally different trends, but it's really not. It's how wide are the bottoms of your pants? That is the trend. So if you think about memes, yeah, I want to stay hip. I want to see what's new. I want to see what's trending and being talked about in the current cycle, because if we're using, to get real nerdy, the algorithms and the way the social media channels are designed is to catch what's hot, what's new, what's trendy. So we need to know those things, but it doesn't take away from people love the classics. Why do people still listen to songs from the 80s and 90s? Because it takes them back to an emotional connection, a situation, a memory, something that to them has meaning, has value. So memes are the same way. If you know your audience and you want to touch on a certain emotional connection or feeling, and you can go and pull a screenshot or a video clip from something that audience specifically will go, these are my people. Well, then you can use that old school feeling and emotion to pull it out and get their attention, because you know how they think a lot of times better than they do.
I like that example too, because it kind of hits on your earlier point. If you were to go back and listen to music from the 80s or 90s, or if you're younger, maybe from the 20 teens, that hurts me a little bit to say, but but anyway, if you keep listening to it, it doesn't bring back those emotions. They fade over time, right? So it's not every line of text needs to be a meme in your emails. Shout out to you, company I was talking about before that I will not name on this show. But this is a cool conversation because I think there's a lot of power. You've illustrated the power in using memes in your marketing if it's done right. And I think people need to really look at their strategy before they just jump right into it. That being said, where can the listener learn more about you, understand how to do this better in their marketing?
The number one thing that they could do is share this episode on social media first, and then tag
Drewby's
us
my
at Call the
favorite
Damn
guest
Leads
ever for saying that.
Oh, well, thank you. The reason I say that, though, is because if someone spent their time, which is your most valuable asset, like we all know how to make more money, bro. Like that's not new. We know how to do that. Time, energy, and effort are the only things we can't get back. So if they've invested a little bit here today and gotten value, them sharing this on social media and tagging at Call the Damn Leads, that tells me that they got something out of it. So I'll purposely follow up and reach out to them and call the damn leads myself and say, hey, thank you so much for sharing this. That's value to me. What can I do to exchange that? Because if they do that, I know they'll learn. Someone else will learn, which brings value to you and I both for our time invested to be here. After that, you're going to get retargeted because I'm great at marketing. So if you interact with our stuff at all, you're going to see callthedamnleads.com pop up in your news feed somewhere. And so that to me is the best thing that you can do because it does tell me and Brandon that you got value out of your time today and then allows me to do what I do as a great salesperson and marketer and show you our stuff henceforth forever.
Can we just talk about that for a minute? That was one of the greatest call to actions I think I've ever heard on any podcast. And I'm grateful it was mine. You added value to me because you want people to share the episode. You're getting them to come over to you and think they're contributing to both of us. And then they get remarketed forever. But you were so honest and upfront about it, they can't even feel bad. That was brilliant.
It's easier that way, man.
You know what? You didn't need to listen to the first 17 minutes of this episode. That was your little masterclass from this episode. Drewby, thank you so much for being here. This was fantastic.
I appreciate the opportunity. I hope you guys crush today with that knowledge.
Thanks, man. All right. For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, callthedamnleads.com. It's on the screen. It's also down below in the show notes or description on every single platform. Make sure you subscribe. We want to have you back. I'm not as complex as Drewby is. I don't know all the remarketing stuff. So I'm relying on you to hit subscribe so we can feed you more information on how to grow your business tomorrow because we put out 5 episodes a week. We'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.